Sometimes you will know it as Beltain. But however you say it or know it, you will know it's the time when the Earth Mother starts to awaken. And she courts the Sun God. But it is through the Earth Mother that the Sun God has to come through. For it's she that decides when the flowers begin to blossom and the crops start to grow. Ancient Mother, connect me to the plants, connect me to the soil, sea and sky. Ancient Mother, connect me to the plants, connect me to the soil, sea and sky. Ancient Mother, connect me to the plants, connect me to the soil, sea and sky. And let me tell you some of the plants that appeared as they chanted. Nettle and dock give true nutrition. Avens, alehoof, soothe our constitution. Plantain, southhill, yarrow, herb robert, heal our wounds, make us whole. Chickweed, crossword, cleavers, cowslip, ointment from the skin, relief from within. Agrimony, speedwell, willow herb, clover, clear our lungs, cough no longer. Dandelion and burdock, purify our blood. Wood sage for our appetite, foxglove for the heart, archangel for stress, for she gives a good rest. For herbs are our healers, and plants are our friends. You may call them weeds, but they help us mend. Ancient Mother, connect us to the plants, connect us to the soil, sea and sky. Ancient Mother, connect us to the plants, connect us to the soil, sea and sky. And so it was. They watched the greening of the land. And all was in harmony, all was in joy. But then Cora, the earth energy, the fiery magma under the depths of the sea and into the earth, twitched a little here and there, and the sea started to rise. And as the sea started to rise, it engulfed all of the land. And as it engulfed that land, Bamba was taken far down into the depths of the sea. But remember, in creation, death is life and life is death. For as we die, we're reborn even more beautiful. But there was one person who did not die as the sea rose. There was one stray sod and one man standing on that sod. The first of the bards, Fintan mac Bucra. And Fintan mac Bucra survived as eagle and as salmon to tell us this tale. And it was he that told me through the lineage of the bards, it was he that told me that when Bamba went down into the sea, she rose again as the great giantess Dolnu. And Dolnu, as she rose, she gave birth to huge, tremendous giants. Giants that were grotesque and disfigured, with one leg and one arm. Giants with the head of a horse and the head of a goat. But then some of the giants that came forth were the personification of beauty itself. Brez, the most beautiful of giants, and from that day on, beauty was compared to him. For a thing of beauty is a joy forever, for it will never fall into nothingness, but soon will keep a bower quiet for us and asleep, full of good dreams and gentle breathing. And so as the giants rose up from the depths of the salty sea, they cared not so much for the beauty of the landscape and the subtle murmuring of nature. They went up and they found an island that had survived the flood, Tory Island. And there they built a glass tower so they could keep an eye on what happened next. And as the seas abated, as things started to change, my own mother appeared. my own Earth Mother, and she came down from the north. Her name was Marka. And Marka, she did not fear the giants. She didn't have a big army. There weren't many of them. And yet she came down. She came down on a purebred steed, on her fiery chariot. She had a raven upon her shoulder, and as she descended down onto the island from the north, she brushed the giants aside, for she feared them not. And then the seas abated all the more, and the land of Erin greened once more. And as Cora, the world serpent, started to move, started to shudder, the sea folded and created the South Downs. And tiny little sea creatures formed the cliffs. So all of the chalk downlands that we know as the white cliffs of the Downs, they were all created by tiny, tiny creatures in the sea. And those creatures that had hard parts to them, that had silicon in their organisms, they were the creatures that created the flint. And so, as I arrived here, I looked at the exquisite beauty of the Downs and the wonder of the Downs. And as I've said before, people say about the magic and about the magic of the Celt, but the magic is in nature. For the plants were able to harness the oxygen and make it available to us. For without the plants, the oxygen would just disappear and form compounds with other elements. They then took the carbon out of the atmosphere and stored it deep, deep in the earth. They took iron from out of the soil and put it into the rivers so that it flowed down to the sea to feed the underwater forests of kelp along the Downs. And when they died, they gave everything back, and they created even more fertile soil. And it took them 1 billion years to create this. 1 billion years to create this incredible environment so that we could live upon it. So at Beltain, we are in touch with the Earth Mother. We have the knowledge of her, and we always honour her. And so as I walked along the Downs, because I wanted to meet again Cern Abbas, for there was something I wanted to know from him, I hummed and I sang a song. Now I'd like to teach you that song, so see if you can join in with me. I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. So the weald is the sandstone, is the more wooded areas. The marsh speaks for itself, and the downs are the hills where all the flowers grow, including the orchids and the butterflies wavering above them. So see if you can repeat that with me. I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. I'm not sure I can hear you. I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. And one more. I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. I've given my heart to a ferny hill, twixt a little low shore and a great high gill, a hopvine yalla and wood smoke blue. I reckon you'll keep her middling true. 'Cause I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. For I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. I've loosened my mind for to out and run in a marsh that was old when kings begun. O Romney levels and Brenzett reeds, I reckon you know what my mind needs. I've given my soul to the South Down grass, and sheep bells tinkled where you pass. Oh, furl and ditchling and sails at sea, I reckon you'll keep my soul for me. 'Cause I'm just in love with all these three, the weald and the marsh and the down country. And Cora moved once more, and this time she did not create a huge flood. This time she did not bring about another plague. This time a single plant appeared before me, and a small snail nibbled upon its leaf. A common drab plant, and this was her answer. This was my vision at this time of Beltain, at this time of splendour, of the sun rising, a small common plant noticed by us all. And then the vision was gone, and I was back in the woods. And all now that I need to do is celebrate the coming of Beltain. And in order to make that vision come through, in order to imprint that vision into my mind and body and soul, to know, to help, and to create the world afresh, I will now burn a Wickerman. A Wickerman that represents the coming of the new sun god. A Wickerman that represents the earth coming up afresh and anew, for this is now a time for a new start. And so raise your glass, your mug, or your tankard, and let us get ready to burn the Wickerman.